Roll call. Mrs. Billings? Here. Mr. Pillow?
Here.
Mr. Siriani?
Here.
Dr. Selly?
Here.
Mrs. Baselli?
Here.
I hereby certify that this meeting has been published in the newspaper in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and posted as required by law.
Before I call up our first presenter, I just wanted to say we have a lot on our agenda, so I'm going to ask everyone to try to be brief and move along as much as possible. Our first item on our agenda will be the beach report by Stan Zuba and Dan George. Donnelly?
Good evening.
Good evening. I believe everybody has the report in their packet. Just go over very briefly, and then we're going to get out of here quickly. This is the report for the 2016 season, final report. 652 water rescues, 4,900 preventions, 810 minor medicals, scrapes, bruises, stuff like that, 114 major medicals, which went to the hospital, 1,922 code enforcements, which is just basically smoking on the beach, alcohol, fishing in restricted areas, stuff like that. 65 lost and found people as far as kids separated from their parents or vice versa. And we had from the extra time that you guys allowed us to keep the lifeguards on from September 6th to the 18th. During that extension, we had 10 water rescues, 52 preventive actions, 2 major medicals, and 70 code enforcements. So that was the report as far as that goes for the season. I'll let Dan talk about a little bit about what we did this summer. On the next page, also the beach highlights. And then the other page there is what we made on the beach this year, and you see it's broken down to each individual beach for you guys, plus the month, so you can review on that. So Dan, you want to go through the
Sure.
highlights real fast?
Yep. Our junior lifeguard program continues to be a tremendous program for us. We're up to 125 participants up to age 15. A third of our current lifeguard staff was junior guard members, so it's really, when we reload the next year, if we're hiring 6 or 8, we're usually hiring 75% of them are right out of the junior lifeguard program. So that has really been amazing. We got some super kids, kids that travel out to California for the Nationals this year and play. So they're active and great supporters of the program. Our rookie camp was extremely successful. Again, the rookie camp is 40-hour camp that we give to anyone that is new to Long Branch Beach. They might even work somewhere else, but we request that they take our camp, and it goes over extensive, lifeguard manual, USLA. So we were very successful with that again this year. We're real excited, and I know you guys heard a little bit about our training with the fire department, the police department, and the ocean rescue. We had a joint venture with the Coast Guard as well, that we did a morning training with everybody, and it was an awesome rescue with 14 people out in the water, and they were all rescued and taken away, and it was really a neat session on that.
We have a videotape of that, which we taped a lot of it from the drone and from the beach. And once we get it together, once Will gets everything set and everything like that, we'll get it to you guys. We'll send it to your phones just so you can see it.
I'd like to see that.
Competition once again with our senior lifeguard staff. We won 3 tournaments. The Avon Relay, which is the oldest tournament in Monmouth County, and we won the 7 Presidents again. And our women are rock stars. They won for the 3rd time again, being the best all-women's tournament in the Northeast. So that was really incredible. We placed in a couple others. This year, what Stan and I added to was just kind of some of the highlights that goes on down at the beach. From our one of the things I think we do extremely well is the handicap beach transportation that we have. Fortunate with the vehicles that we've added to our beaches. We really are doing a great job from transporting them down to the beach to actually taking them out in the water. We've had some incredible water wheelchair taking them out. We have the lifeguards actually take them out in the water wheelchair. Some other beaches just let them use it. We actually have the lifeguards take them out. We've had people that haven't been in the water 7, 8, 9 years since their accidents, who were big water people. They get back in the water. It's really an emotional time. You know, we had our mile swims again, our triathlons. We had a nice little leadership camp, a 4-day leadership camp with over 450 local student athletes came down, and the counselors were the Navy SEALs. So that was something that was first year that we did that was very successful. Our volleyball league continues to be the biggest on the beach in all of New Jersey. We hosted a couple lifeguard tournaments. The Jersey Shore Beach Rental had another successful year with, you know, the umbrellas and the beach chairs, and the Summer Love Surf Camp had another successful season, which was very exciting. And then we also had our wrestling tournament, which is annual. That went great. We also have a nice little fundraising opportunity for the local recreation sport team, where they can for money, and they do a nice little job, subsidize some of it. So I wanted you guys to know that was going on, whether it was the girls soccer team or the AYF team. There's different teams that do it. We also have a tremendous amount, and you may get spoken to, morning workouts. You know, like Rutgers came down, the football team came down, did a little workout on the beach, went to, where'd they go for lunch? They went to Rooney's for lunch, and then they hung out the afternoon. We have Monmouth University come routinely and work out a lot of their teams on the beach in the morning. So it's becoming a nice little destination spot for morning workouts, so to speak.
I just say, first of all, I want to commend you on the after hours and the extended season. You know, it costs us a little more money, but if you ever listen to when someone's drowned, it's always after hours. And we're able to cover a big part of that after hours, which I'm sure I've said.
Yeah, we're very pleased with that, and then we got so much feedback on that. We actually had people calling the beach office after, Labor Day and stuff like that, saying, "Wow, you're still open, you're still guarding what you're guarding," stuff like that, and coming down. So that was a really big hit and a good call by everybody, including here. One thing I want to say, I know we got to wrap this up, but we already have a list for next year. We got a lot to talk about, so maybe sometime December, or right after the beginning of the year, so we can move on this stuff and see which way you guys want to go between cabanas and different things that we want to do. We have a list already. We sold 31 cabanas last year already. We have all 35 promised out. We have, for March when they start, and I've got a waiting list of 19. I've got lockers. We sold 125 lockers. I'm sorry, 120. I think we used 5 for the beach. 3 of them, so 124 out of the 125. And people want more of them, so I just don't want to get too big. I want to see how you guys want to go and stuff like that. I want to talk about a couple different other things, so if you can get me, we'll talk about this, but just to let you know, we are working on some projects and we'll need a little bit of time with you guys. Okay?
Stan, how far back do these reports go?
As far as what, the beach report?
The same report you have for 16, does it go back for?
We have 15, and I think we did 14.
14,
We started.
we've been
14, 15, 16 we
Since
started.
we've
got the
done
computer and
national.
all that, since we went, yes.
Well, we also get a report from Recreation, and it goes back even farther.
Salary base, it's been going on for
A long time.
Yeah.
But as far
right,
as
since 14.
As far as the numbers are concerned that we're talking about,
The numbers with the water rescue, all
Water
that stuff, and
rescues,
that
all
goes
that.
back from 14, 15, 16.
Gotcha.
We'll continue to do that every
I thought you
year.
were talking about the revenues.
no.
Any other questions, or?
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Kate, I just so you guys understand too, some people open up after from that 16th to the 18th. We actually had guards in 5 locations, which I think that we got great feedback on that. Some people just have people riding up and down the beach. We actually guarded, south, central, and the north areas. So people really would call the recreation. Your guards are still on, and actually came down to the beach, which was
You're talking about the post-Labor Day?
post Labor Day, 6th to the 18th.
Yeah, that was great. I don't care about that. That's what I did.
Good.
No, I just want to say to Danny and Stan, great job. Nothing but
positive
Yeah.
comments from the boardwalk, beach, operation,
Yeah.
staff,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Positive.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well done. Okay, next on our agenda, we have a presentation by Mike Martin and Jason, Director Robot, for
And Charlie Shirley,
parking meters.
he can come too.
My part in this is mainly just to report the revenue. This year to date, which the parking meter season's over, we've received $1,416,122.75. 1416122. That is $475,000 more than last year. An excellent increase.
Wow.
And the majority of the money is Pier Village still?
Yes. And also that attributes to the rate increase we had in Pier Village also.
So what, Mike?
The rate increase we had in Pier Village.
Do you know what the breakdown was for Chandler and Map slot? Ballpark?
No. Last year we took in around 100. I would suspect it's close to the same this year.
That pretty much operates capacity on the weekends.
And now for the bad news. We need to buy some more meters, and we need to replace some of the ones that we've had. We need to start replacing a few every year. These were originally purchased, we were talking 2010 or 2011.
Then we held them.
Yeah, and then we held them, then we had to get them in before the warranty ran out, so we put them in 2013, so they've been out there for a couple years, and they're 6 years old, so we need to start replacing them. Also, we're thinking about some other spots that we're going to put them, and after talking with Stan, we were also talking about selling beach badges through them next year, so we wanted to buy 4 more just for beach badges and give that a trial run at a couple spots where people could put it in, get the ticket, and then bring the ticket over and get the beach badge, so we would have as much money out there, floating around, and it makes it easier for people. They can actually do it from their phone, I think, when they get there. And
So that would be
and
daily
stuff.
beach badge?
Daily,
You
yeah.
have to buy that at the parking meter. That's
They buy it right at the apartment, right? So you could go, put your money in for the meter for the day, and you can get your beach badge.
We don't
anytime.
take credit cards for daily beach passes.
Correct.
No.
This
Well,
would be an
you could do it here.
opportunity for them to pay.
You could do it here, right?
Yeah.
You could do it there.
Agreed.
So that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to buy 22, which
Total.
would 22 total, which would be 11 replacements, and then some extras for some places we want to put them, and 4 extra for the beach badge sales.
On the boardwalk.
Boardwalk.
Where else are you thinking about putting them? You say additional places?
Ocean Avenue that we had opened up, and we didn't put them there this year. Obviously, we'd have to talk to you guys about it, Ocean Avenue. The senior lot, I know we were talking about doing the senior lot, so we want to put a couple there.
Ocean Avenue down by the new boardwalk where we had those 50s, but we got to decide.
Right, we got to decide there. We got to decide where to put them there.
Can we decide that first before we buy them?
I am against putting any parking meters in the senior lot.
Okay.
I think on weekends we need.
This would be for the weekend.
Oh, weekend.
Weekends
Weekends.
only.
Yeah, weekends only.
We have to pass an ordinance that says we're going to charge them on weekends.
Understand.
Meters only on weekends.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to charge seniors, and only seniors can park here.
Because you confuse them, they wouldn't know what to do.
Right. Yeah, man, I thought we had,
Oh, they're
I'm telling
lovely
you the
people.
truth.
I thought we had talked about the senior lot, and
Just the weekends.
we decided weekends only, but we still need to buy probably 2 meters to put there. Ocean Avenue, where we have the spaces there, you guys will have to make the call on that, but we kind of assumed we were going to meter that at some point in the future.
The only problem with that is we kind of stayed away from metering in front of residents.
Right.
I don't know if there's any,
Mr. Fusco, it's his place right there, and we're gonna have all these projects coming in, so they're gonna be in front
yeah, I think they have to bring their own parking.
I think anything we're gonna do will be east, and ittle be sort of in that sand area, because
Okay.
we're never gonna do solar again. I think we all agree at that. So we're gonna, where we can get power.
Oh, okay.
So they'll be on the boardwalk side where you'll park and then walk to the whatever amenity you're going to. And then from there, it can even help whether you park or not. You can get your beach badge to go anywhere.
To go anywhere on the
If
beach.
you have to go there anyway, you're already there. You can park, get 4 badges, and walk up, and you're paid.
Where are you talking about by the boardwalk?
Where we put those 75 spots in?
You're gonna change them from the west side to the east side?
No.
The parking meter.
The meter will be
Parking
on
will
the
meter
east
be
side.
on the east side. parking meter will be in
spots will be on the west side.
Correct.
right where they are now.
Where they have the spaces
Yeah,
with
I
the
know.
in-charge issue.
Right.
Jay, how much are those units apiece?
10?
Oh,
10, 11?
10,000.
10.
And then you'd be able to, the units would, only the new units would be able to, you'd be able to purchase those beach passes?
No, I think all of them.
We're gonna
All of them.
we can do it by computer here at City Hall. We're gonna reset them all.
So is
You can
that
buy
like
it from
an
anywhere.
addition-
If you park by Gold's
software
Gym,
fee, or-
No, I don't think so.
Nope.
But if you park by Gold's Gym, you have to pay at the meter, and people that start to get to know it, you have to walk up anyway. While you're there, you can actually buy your beach badge. So when you go there, you have your ticket for your beach badge, and you have that. You walk up to a already paid, prepaid, and you just get your badge and you
And your
swap.
badge for the
And
day,
now
and you
that
walk
now
in.
all that money's not in the hands where they're trying to collect.
Well, I thought we were only doing 4 beach pads.
We're doing those just for that. They're
We're
doing
doing
all
those-
the way up on the entrance.
Right on the beach, we're putting 4, but you're gonna be able to buy that at any meter in town. Yeah, we're just gonna have to reprogram. But no, I don't think there's any additional software fee for that.
No, there's
We
not.
can-
There's not.
So what's the
We can
grand
do it.
total that you're looking to spend?
That we need to buy another cart, like the cart that we have. It's not big enough anymore, and with the amount of, we can't fit any more bins in there. So, and we also want to run the other cart when Nikki is not here. So we're gonna have one of the class 2s probably, because he's only here 5 days a week. So if he works a weekend, he's off.
It's like a heavy-duty golf cart. It's got boxes in the back for all
Boxes
the
for the
money and
corners
everything
and all
like
that
that.
stuff,
It's, electric.
So we're gonna have a class 2 run that next year, so we can have somebody here to do the meters 7 days a week. So we want to get another cart. We can also do enforcement out of that cart. We're gonna do that, and to help with the enforcement, Galaxy tabs, right? A couple Galaxy tabs. So Mike, I think you have the total for that we're looking for.
It's close to $300,000. Right now, it's about 280. So with installation of all the meters, purchasing
Meters
meters
and a
themselves.
Do we get any
And
trade-in
card.
on the meters we turn back in?
No.
Including those Galaxy tabs?
That's the meters, the cart, the Galaxy tabs. It's also the installation and the running of the wire and everything for the new ones.
Yes, sir.
Where are we
So
gonna get that?
11? Altogether, how many?
22.
22 meters.
11 additional.
Are the ones replacing 4 are for the beach pad valves?
Right.
And where are they going to be? Are they going to be right next to?
Laird and Pier Village.
Yeah, we want to start at Laird and Pier Village. We're going to put 2 down right by the beach entrances. Probably 2 at each spot because that's where everybody
So they'll
goes,
be-
busiest spots.
They'll be our regular ticket booth.
We'll be there also. Right. So you can do either. I mean, so you could walk up and you can still pay, right, the booth, or you could get it out of there and then you can just walk over and they'll hand you a beach
So
badge
it's
when
for
you.
the convenience of.
For the convenience of them, right, yeah.
It's two-pronged though. Anyone that's been down there, we have to start getting money out of the ticket takers' hands. We gotta start doing something.
So this will, this will help that.
Okay.
2 options to finance. We could either do a standard bond ordinance like we had in the past, or depending on how the year plays out, how surplus ends up at the end of 2016, possibly in the 2017 budget, we could run it as a capital line item. So we don't have to finance it. It'll just be in the budget. We'll spend it all in one
When do
shot.
they have to be bought?
They should be purchased probably by
Probably early next year.
early
Yeah.
March to be installed,
So we can wait.
beginning of
I think
April.
That's what I'm.
By the frost, we want them here.
Yeah, we want them here February,
By the
March, so we
way.
can,
When
The frost
as soon as we can start digging.
Yeah, as soon as we
put
start
them in.
digging, so we can
gotta
put
the
them in.
foundations in. That's what the latest that year. Remember?
Yeah, we
Once
had-
it gets a little, once winter's over, you can install.
Exactly.
we want them here, yeah. We want them here by March would be great, February, March, so we have to do the bond whenever that,
Or in
how
2
long that
weeks.
takes.
Yeah, maybe you never know now.
Yeah.
All the meters we have been paid off, right? They're all paid off?
No, we're still financing the bond.
We still are.
Yes.
Well, the bond's a 20-year bond,
We've
I believe.
earned more than we've paid for them considerably.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
that's a better way to answer your question.
Remember, a bond is not like a mortgage where you can prepay the mortgage.
Right.
The bond only has set call dates,
Okay.
so that the extra earning, the revenue that's generated from these parking meters goes into the general fund, and it can be used for other purposes as long as the debt service is met. And if Mike ever finds a point in time where he can accumulate bonds and the call dates are right, we can refinance the bonds at a lower rate if we have the opportunity.
The amount of
you're
money that
expecting-
was,
excuse me.
the amount of money that we made, that goes into the general fund, correct?
Yes.
I know the answer is probably no. We can't take any of that and put that into surplus like a hold for this.
You can, because it's
Not as a whole.
unanticipated, isn't it?
The excess money that was,
Do we have to wait until the budget? Go ahead.
the money that was raised in excess of what was anticipated, we anticipated to raise $600,000 for meters. So the $800,000 more than we anticipated will result in positively on surplus for the end of 12/31/2016.
I'd rather see if we
And we
can
could
work
use
out of,
it.
work
We
out of
could use that
surplus.
as a
Yes.
capital line item
Yes.
towards that.
We can, but we have to see how the rest of the budget works out to
Works
make
out.
sure we're.
I like to see,
So you're expecting
that.
7 of those meters to be on that west side of Ocean Avenue where there's no parking meters now?
5.
5. Where are the other 2 going to go?
Senior lot?
Okay. Any other questions?
do you want to lease some of the old ones to Star of the Sea? and let them
Yes,
sell them to-
yeah, sure, whatever we can
Do they
do.
still work?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah,
Some of them, they're, you know.
they're out of warranty and
I
parts.
don't care.
The
Do
new
they-
ones, the new ones will work quicker than the old ones?
Yes. Yeah, so we.
That's the only complaint.
Absolutely,
Other
I
than the
know.
fact people don't want to pay.
Right.
That's the only complaint.
We missed the new controller by 6 months. And then we got the meters and then they went in a trailer for 2.5 years,
Right.
remember? And then when we put them out there, they were solar powered and the slower CPUs. So we had
Can we
to,
put them up for auction?
That's a good question.
we will, we are going to. We were gonna put them on Gov Deals. But these are gonna go in the, yeah.
Star of the Sea, I mean, they have their men volunteer.
We know the busiest spots, and these new ones will go in the busiest spots.
Right.
And then there are places like Seaview at the end that's on the beach. That one gets destroyed. That can be swapped out with one, say, behind Pier Village where it's protected all the time. So we're gonna, Nikki already has his, if this gets approved, he's got it all figured out where they're gonna move to, but the new ones will go to the busiest spots.
We sell them at auction. People can buy them and use for parts.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah.
We can still
Thank
use
you,
some for parts
gentlemen.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Nicky will probably take some
He
parts
is.
out of
He
them.
is.
but-
I imagine if there's any other suggestions or comments regarding this, we can let them know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, best practices.
What's the magic number?
8. 8 no's is the magic number.
Mike, would you please use the microphone?
Conference game pads. Thank you. 8 no's is the magic number. Coincidentally, the state has added 8 new questions this year that they have never asked before. So I don't know what the correlation is with that.
So are we in compliance?
No.
Oh, good.
But the other strange factor is the new twist, because the state always likes to keep moving the target. They say you have to get 8 to have no penalty, or less than 8 no's to have no penalty in state aid. What they don't tell you is how much of a penalty you will receive if you have more than 8. They say the penalty will be determined after all the submissions have been made. I don't know what that means.
Well, it's different than last year.
It's, last year they gave you, if you get 10 wrong, you lose 5%. 12 wrong, 15%, something like that.
So we don't know where we're at?
We know where we're at as far as no's, but we don't know
If we lost anything?
if we lost anything or if they will even assess a dollar penalty at this point in time.
But we only have
We don't know
7
for
no's,
sure.
not 8.
2 or 3 could probably be a no.
Oh, and that were answered yes
Yeah.
originally?
They're borderline.
They're very borderline.
Borderline.
Which we could discuss, and a couple of them are a couple of new questions, like 2 and 3. We don't actually have formal policies written, but the answers aren't due till next week. I'm sure in a week we could easily turn around a written policy and have it, so they could turn into actual stays, yeses.
We practice the policy, is that what you're saying?
Well, right now, we practice a verbal policy.
We practice
Right.
the policy.
And they're saying, do you have a written policy? So, do we have a policy? Yes. Is it written?
I'm about to ask for a written.
So we could put something in writing.
We could put something in writing to do this. My suggestion is to work with Mike in the next week and get as many of these no's to be yeses internally by getting the appropriate policy to whatever degree it is, so that if there ever was an audit, we would have the backup information.
Are we adding the use of the cars to and from work as a fringe benefit? That value is being added to their W-2s?
We used to add rounds, but that was it. Just used to do rounds.
So if that's a no now, that we're not doing that, then we can answer that question affirmatively instead of negatively.
But shouldn't everyone that has a city car be have shown it on their W-2 if they use it?
If they use the commute, yes. Well, we can still do that for 2016. We'll do it as a one-shot at the end of the year. That's how we used to take it. Number 9, I'll draw your attention to, has to do with the authorities. We had a meeting with the Housing Authority back in July of 2015. It's kind of a long time ago. We don't have an annual plan to discuss authorities and things like that. Right now I have that down as a yes. That could go either way.
So we should have a meeting.
So we should have a meeting.
We should schedule a meeting, even if the meeting is scheduled for November or December. We can answer the question yes, as long as you have a backup information that indicates that that we have this scheduled.
As long as you're all okay with that.
Last year, we discussed employee handbook.
We did. We still don't have one.
There's an old one around somewhere. I don't know where.
You know, it was being revised with the labor attorney. I have yet to see a final version of it. So that's still a no.
What number is that, Joey?
30.
I'm still looking at the other no's.
They are, a couple of the questions are repetitive as far as sick time payouts. Apparently now they don't want you to pay any sick time when an employee leaves at all.
But that's not the law.
Yeah, that's what I was just
I
saying.
agree, it's not the law, but that doesn't mean that's not what they're advising you to do through this question, which I agree with you and I find ridiculous.
They get plugged up to what, 15,000?
Yes. And then longevity is also seems to be a stickler for them. They have 2 questions on longevity,
Yeah.
and we haven't worked it out of our contract. It's out of the,
Been in the contracts for 30 years or more.
yes. And we actually put it in for the white and blues for new hires to be out, and they agreed to it. That contract hasn't been awarded yet, but we still, all the grandfathered people are still receiving longevity. So,
I think 22 is rude.
2. Yes. Healthcare coverage for part-time elected and appointed officials.
But the grandfathered, we're being penalized for the ones that are grandfathered. So we're following the law.
We all, you know, Mike, we always follow the rules 100% of the time.
No, but the way they're writing it is that you're being penalized for
But
following.
you are following the rules.
But we're following the rules.
Longevity, we follow the rules. Sick
That's what
time,
I'm
we
saying,
follow
yeah.
the rules. Cars, we follow the rules.
So would they want, this governor wants us to break the rules?
I don't know if it's so much the governor or the director of local government services, but
Maybe when it goes, it's water under the bridge now, I'm sure.
The bridge.
They're dying to say that.
these are the questions we are left to answer.
When is this due to the state?
Let's do next Friday. The 2 policies we could pretty easily have written. The
And a meeting date.
meeting date we could schedule to discuss authorities. the sewer and housing, which we currently have, and according to the question, any new possible authorities we could create.
I mean,
For
I imagine
discussion.
at some point we'll have a discussion about a beach authority and then decide whether we want to or not. That would be the only other one.
Utility.
Beach utility, I'm sorry.
Right. If you.
I'm not saying we want to, I'm just saying, I don't know what else we do.
The authority
It's
discussion needs to be
different
put on the agenda.
conversation.
If you want a little bit of lesson in history, in 1996, the city wanted to establish a parking authority. And the city went to the state to establish the authority. And at that time, any municipality who wanted to establish an authority was looked at like they had 4 heads, that it should not have been done, and that no authority should exist in the state, that there were too many authorities. Now they come back in this best practices and ask about creating more authorities, which separates the responsibilities and.
But we still have our.
We still have our parking authority, yes, we did, we got it. We got it after maybe a 9-month battle with the state. You get it, and you do have it.
Do we have any other questions? Because we have to move on, unfortunately.
You know, we need to decide who's gonna write the policy.
No, it's done internally, Mary Jane. We'll get it done between finance and our office.
Okay.
We'll get it done.
It will be done.
Yep. Yes.
And I think with those 2 policies and the addition of the authority meeting, we should be fine. So we'll be under
I'd
our
like to
8.
discuss the employee manual again with the labor attorney, maybe?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Welcome.
We are now moving on to Oceanfront and Broadway redevelopment plan guidelines.
Hi.
Director Turner.
Hi. What I gave everybody tonight was a hard copy of what was sent to you electronically, which is the proposed addendum of zoning requirements for the Oceanfront Broadway redevelopment plan design guidelines. And just briefly, these guidelines, what you see in this book, were those that were mentioned as recommendations in the original re-examination of the Oceanfront and Broadway redevelopment plan and design guidelines that was presented to the council at its workshop on July 26th and was accepted by the council on September 13th, and this addendum was accepted and recommended to go to council at the planning board meeting of October 5th. And the real quick highlights of the changes and everything that are in here that I mentioned at the meeting of July 26th are that in the lower Broadway corridor, we're allowing for the option of live-work residential units. This is not the redevelopment zone in the lower Broadway corridor. This is in the area that is the area in need of rehabilitation. And it's allowing live-work units as an option and regular residential units as an option in the 2nd stories and above, with a parking requirement of 2 parking places per unit. And in lieu of that, the city may consider, if they do not have the parking, that they would have to pay $15,000 per parking space as part of a variance agreement, if that was, or a waiver agreement, if ever that was done, considering whatever project came in.
What page is that on, Carl?
Excuse me?
What page is that on?
4.
Probably.
Yeah, it starts on page 3, the bottom of page 3, where it talks about book number 7, Lower Broadway Corridor, and it continues as to what is being asked to be allowed in the ordinance addendum onto the top of page 4. And one of the reasons for the desire of that amount of money per parking space is it goes into the cost of potentially building structured parking. And it also is consistent in the ordinance that is already in effect in another part of the city, which is the Transit Village area.
The live-work option, that's on the 2nd floor, right?
Correct. All of the residential in that section of the redevelopment zone is 2nd floor and above, cannot be in the 1st floor. And all of the existing requirements as to the size of units, the number of units, the density, are still in place as per the existing design guidelines.
Okay, very good.
Okay, the other changes in Beachfront North, we ended up, because of the various development and things that have happened up there, with certain properties in an area that was originally just designated for beachfront commercial and beachfront uses, that we are allowing residential uses, either single-family houses or multifamily units, based upon those that have been agreed upon, both for the area that is the single-family houses, similar to what's on Seaview Avenue, and also what has happened with a townhouse project that was proposed. So the densities of those types of uses would remain consistent with what's already in the zone, or has been approved in the zone. And the other change is in Broadway Gateway on 2nd Avenue. There's a section where there are actually 5 properties that were left off of the mapping from the original design guideline for the Broadway Gateway sector. And the desire there is to allow for commercial uses in an area that right now is only showing as residential uses. And the properties in question consist of a vacant lot, 2 mixed commercial ground floor with residential above, and 1 commercial building. So that was something that was looked at that would clean up something that we actually missed in the original documents. And the other thing that's added into this document were the 2 original addendums that were adopted several years ago for Beachfront South and for Beachfront North. So that's really the changes here.
Great. Very nicely done. Thank you. Does anyone have any more questions for Mr. Turner? No?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, we have redevelopment ordinance. No, I'm sorry, excuse me. The DEP state aid agreement. Mr. Aaron?
Sure. You have a copy of this agreement, which has been circulated to you in the past. It's as you can see, it's many faceted. It covers a project that goes literally from Monmouth Beach to the end of Ocean County. Many of the things that it deals with are not even applicable to the city of Long Branch. The key things to you are that we are dealing with the piping plovers and all of the other natural habitat that need to be preserved. We have those agreements in place. The cost of this to the residents and taxpayers of the city of Long Branch for the redevelopment as it is going in now from Tallahassee South to the Deal border is $0. That our costs are capped throughout this for continued beach replenishment under the standardized formula that provides the majority of the cost, 75% to the federal government, then the state, then the county, and then the city at the very end. So right now, by signing this agreement, you're obligating yourself to nothing on behalf of the citizens, and it's a requirement that the state has to allow us to continue to have the beach replenishment project moving forward. It's almost like it's belt and suspenders because we've already approved the project, they're already here, they've done 80% of it, and then they say, here, sign this agreement.
It was interesting to me that the word project was never defined in this particular document. So it is beach replenishment as far as the sand goes, and
It's beach replenishment as it presently exists and replenishment of the beach replenishment if erosion occurs in the future.
Replenishment of the replenishment.
It's replenishment of the deplenishment of the replenishment.
Deplenishment of the
Did you say that 7 times? fast?
No. I probably wouldn't be able to. And that's it. I mean, if you want to go through it piece by piece, we can, but we really don't have the time tonight to do so. I've been advised that we are in, as the city, in compliance with all of the factors that are set for requirements of the city of Long Branch as it relates to the project.
Can you give us 1 or 2 examples of that?
Piping plovers.
We are already,
Yeah, we don't deal, we have our own plan in place with the state. we meet and exceed the open public access points that are required of the city to provide access to the beach. We meet the requirements of how we service the beach, but don't interfere with the wildlife on the dunes and our seawall. This is more prevalent in Ocean County than it is here in Long Branch, but we meet all of those standards. We take care of the beaches in accordance with the terms of this agreement. We have parking which is sufficient to meet the requirements under the agreement. These are the things that are really the practical things that you talk about all the time and are not anything new.
Okay, thank you. Did anyone have any questions on that? Okay, very good. Let's move on to the redevelopment ordinance amendments by Mr. Beckelman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me pick up where Carl left off, actually. So this was the actual, what would be the recommended ordinance from the planning board, what Carl talked about.
Right.
So I went through the ordinance just to see what we'd have to do to codify that. And it's really pretty straightforward. It's just to insert a couple of references. So I think, Jim, I guess you would agree, this has been through the planning board, so the codification doesn't require any further review by the planning board.
That's correct.
And it'll just reference, there's 3 places in the ordinance we'll have to reference and add the reference to design guideline 8. But looking through it, and maybe this could also be incorporated into what I'm about to discuss on what we'll call the procedural aspects. The ordinance currently provides that when a developer wants to see the guidelines, they come and buy them at $30 a piece, because we would produce an original document like this in color with the fancy paper and all that. I would suggest that we could probably amend that, because that was written back in the 90s. We have the technology now to make them more readily available at the actual cost of copying. So I would recommend that be changed as well. And that could be done in the context, I think, of Carl's ordinance, because it goes along with the actual access to the guidelines.
Can we put it on the website?
What about all those?
And I was going to suggest that I have to talk to Thompson, who wrote them, because I remember something about a copyright issue. But so if it's not an issue, and I'll talk to them about that, I would recommend that too, that we could just make them available online.
The 7 books?
Well, now 8. Well, this was not written by Thompson, it's written by the planning board, so that's not an issue.
So you're suggesting that we just put them online and not charge for them?
It's your desire. It's consistent with, the ordinance is online. When somebody looks at the ordinance to find out what they need to do to comply with the redevelopment, it will tell them, now you have to go to the clerk and buy this book to get the specific details of what's required. But even if you have been making copies of them, so I'm not sure what the copyright issue is. I just remember there being some discussion about that. So my suggestion at a minimum would be just to charge the actual cost of the copies, which I'm sure is not, maybe at the time it was $30, but.
Right now, it could be a charge under the open public record.
Of the 7 bound books, or 8 bound books?
Well, it'll be the 8. This will be available by copy too.
Why couldn't we just add that, give that, when you buy book 7, just give them that as part of book 7?
Yeah.
Or they make a whole separate book, so they have to buy 2 books.
When's the last time anybody bought a set?
Oh, they buy all the
Yeah, they do.
all the time, constantly.
Every developer we deal with has bought them.
Or potential redevelopment.
And they're copied now?
Some are originals, some are copies.
Some originals.
Right. So it's really just to update, because now we do, if again, subject to addressing whatever that issue might be, I would agree, make them available online, right? So you go through the ordinance online, and then you click a link and you look at the guidelines. So that doesn't actually require any other, codification. That would just be technically, putting it up to date. So subject to there somebody from Thompson telling me why we can't do that, that's what I'd recommend. The reason that the planning board did it this way is just what I was describing. When you go to the ordinance, when you need to see the details of what's permitted and what's required, you refer to the guidelines. So, and Carl and I did discuss this, what was the best way to do it, and his original thought was correct. I think this is the cleanest and simplest way to do it, is just to make the guideline book 8 to show there may be some addendums. And right, this doesn't require somebody now to spend another $30 for another book. You could just give them a copy of it. And this one, there is no question. It was written internally by the city, so you can definitely put this online. or you could put it right into the ordinance
So
through a
as you
link.
buy the one book, you just also would get that
Given
as part of
that.
the book. That's,
Yeah.
that's fair. All
And
right.
then
I
they-
didn't want us charging people too for
No, because
books.
you may buy one book for one zone,
Right.
and then want to look at the amendments to see if the amendments
Yeah.
change that zone.
Okay.
Right. So that was that. The procedural aspects, we discussed this a couple meetings ago, and went back and we changed the last part that we were still talking about and kicking around was the considerations for tax exemptions. So we reordered those based on the discussions we had here last time and created what we'd call the primary factors that will be the most important considerations for tax exemption relief. And then we added some additional factors that may play into a decision. Since then, we had a discussion, the committee had a discussion, and there was still, Ralph Basil at Vantage Point and I were a little reluctant to recommend that you have a hard, fast number, that you must have this many in order to be granted a tax exemption. So I think that's still a discussion that's taking place with us. And I think Mike Lee suggested perhaps at least we'd have to say at least one of these factors, which may have made sense, that we have this list of primary factors. Do we want to say, and that's the question I have for everybody tonight, do we want to keep it flexible where you don't put a number on it, or do we want to say you have to have X number of these factors to be considered? And before we get into that, let me point out that the very introductory part of this ordinance, the factors, is the first thing we're going to do is look at how much we think the project needs this and what's the cost benefit to the city. So that's the first step. So if we don't even get to that level, we may not have to consider any factors. That being said, then we go to these, what ended up being the 7 most important factors that we talked about. They're listed first in the ordinance. And we said we may also consider these additional 9 factors. So there's a lot of things that could come into play. With that, I think the question and the last piece of direction I think I need from you guys before we can finalize this is, do we want to make a mandatory requirement of meeting a minimum number of the primary factors?
I said, I think we should leave it flexible, because when you start giving a certain number, then it basically takes a decision out of our hands. It's no longer our decision, it's based on the ordinance. And if there is a project, every project comes in is different, I think we need some flexibility to grant it. That's my opinion.
I'd like to do a bit of research on this with Rob to see which way we go protects the city the best from future litigation, so that we're not put in a corner where every developer comes in and files a lawsuit to seek an abatement based upon their interpretation of our ordinance and whether or not they're entitled to an abatement. And my gut is that an abatement is something you have to earn and is not there just for you to cherry pick and say, guys, look, I got a beautiful project, therefore you got to give me a tax abatement.
Maybe I'm simplifying it, but I'm thinking a person is doing this, fills it out and says, all right, we did one.
Right, therefore
Submit.
I qualify.
So let me submit.
And therefore you
our
must
answer is going to be, you only did one. Where in this document does it say I need to have had
More than one.
More than one.
You're making
And then
my point.
it's, let's
You're
go
right.
to court.
That's right.
That's
what
what's
I don't-
going through my mind. And I'm open to any type of verbiage that is required. I don't think we should put out a document that has question marks all over it, and we're going to end up in trouble and sitting in court. And nothing against the lawyers.
What do
but,
we have now? Is it?
Now it lists, you could actually tell from looking at the marked up version.
Right.
The ones that aren't underlined are the factors that are in the ordinance currently. And as a practical matter, again, with the passage of time, I don't know that the city has really found those to be as substantial as some of the factors we've considered more recently. Construction or substantial rehabilitation for office use, construction of residential or hotel projects, 5 or more stories, construction of new retail space or substantial rehabilitation of existing space, multi-level parking structures with provision for shared parking, significant public amenities beyond the minimum state and local requirements, such as beach access parks, public art, pedestrian lighting, conversion of non-residential space to residential or mixed use, new buildings that combine residential and commercial uses. So what we focused on more recently, in recent times, looking at these, have been the efforts that have been required by the developer without the use of eminent domain to assemble parcels to increase the value and the quality of the project. New development that's taking place in an area that's been stagnant, so causing a catalyst to get people moving and to create more value and interest in other development.
And depending upon the zone and the project, one of these may be most important for that particular area, and then others not. So I just think we really got to make sure that we've got the wording here right that insulates us from a lawsuit from every developer in every zone who comes in and says, hey, wait a minute, I did something and I'm entitled to this. And we may win the litigation, but I just want to put us in the best stance that we possibly could be in.
Right, so I mean, and other communities and towns may not do this. They may not tell a developer anything about what they're considering. That's always an option, is to say, well, we'll just look at it and we'll let you know. And so you're not even required to have standards specifying what you're going to consider. And this is really, I think it's a very transparent way of proceeding with the redevelopment, to let developers know what you'll be looking for. But again, it's as far as the concern about somebody saying I'm entitled to it, nobody's entitled to these. And even if you had nothing in the ordinance and somebody said I've applied for a tax abatement, the danger you have there is to say, well, how do I know what do I need to do to get a tax abatement? So it's kind of what really motivated this, is to say, well, this is what we're expecting.
And maybe the language is simple as, in the sole and exclusive discretion of the governing body or redevelopment agency, the following will be considered, period. But
We'll have further discussion on this?
I would, yeah.
Well, actually, it's it's case-by-case basis in the city's sole discretion, as may be reasonable and appropriate with respect to the particular project under review. So I think there's some pretty protective language in here.
As is, you mean?
As is, yes.
If you're comfortable with it and you want to move it tonight, and the governing body's comfortable.
Well, where we would be is,
I don't think we're ready to move it.
the movement, what you could do tonight is just refer it to the planning board, and we could still talk about it.
Well, if you refer it to the planning board, then you'll have a final review after the planning board, because the planning board only makes recommendations to you.
Right, so you can hold off, you don't have to introduce it tonight, but if we could get the planning board looking at it, I don't think they're meeting in November, so it'd probably be better, if we end up discussing it.
October?
Yes.
Yeah, we're meeting in October.
So if you refer it to the planning board tonight, they can look at it, start to look at it.
Put it on the agenda for October.
Fine.
Which doesn't preclude you from changing anything else in it.
That's a
Then it
good
would have to go
solution.
back to the planning board?
If you make a substantial change. So that would have to be determined.
Good? Everybody good with that?
Good with that. John?
Okay, very good.
Okay.
We'll move to the planning board.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Okay, next on our agenda, we have a brief presentation by Director Hayes on the Red Cross Fire Alarm Program.
Thank you. I sent you the email that was contacted by Senator Beck's office. They work with the Red Cross in a program to distribute smoke detectors to homes in towns in her district. So it's scheduled for the 22nd at 9:30 p.m. at the 9:30 a.m. at the Portuguese Club, and then at 10 o'clock we'll go out with them. I contacted Chief Gadetti, and he's okayed the duty firefighters to assist. And right now they have scheduled North 5th and 6th Avenue between Broadway and Halberton. And that's their target area. And they'll go house to house and offer to install smoke detectors.
They'll install them right then and there.
That's my understanding, yeah. And they're asking us for help, so I'm going to participate in doing that.
Kevin, I'm sorry, it's 22nd of October?
Yes, sir. Saturday.
So we should
Yeah, but how many homes are they looking at?
There's probably 50 or so in that area, I would think, those two streets.
Give me an idea why they chose that particular neighborhood?
No, I just think they start in different areas, and I'm not sure there's a rhyme or reason to it. But beyond that, you know, we have smoke detectors that were given by the state to us to distribute to low-income families that need detectors. But, you know, as we go down the two streets, I mean, any of the houses that are rental properties, you know, we'll just, you know, issue notices of violation to the landlord to make them put them in. There's no, but for anyone that's a homeowner or needs a smoke detector, we certainly have them in the office and can distribute them as well.
Is there a flyer, or can a flyer be distributed to each home prior to that?
In the city?
Well, no, in
So
the
this
two
block area.
streets that you're going to tend to. The only reason
Yeah,
I mention that is because many people don't answer their door, and if they knew.
Yeah, I don't know. This is their program. I'm just assisting them. I don't know if they've done that. I don't know if they've canvassed any in advance. I'm not sure. I can ask.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Can you make a recommendation
Sure,
from the
I can ask them,
council
sure.
that we are requesting that?
Yeah.
Just so, you know, people can tidy up their house.
Put the alligators away?
Yeah. You know, like on my door Saturday morning, I don't know.
Okay. So which one, I asked Kathy, and she sent the email out just to let you know, and I know Councilwoman Billings has offered to come down, so anyone that's interested, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
I need a motion to close.
So move.
Want to review the agenda?
Oh, excuse me.
Regular agenda.
We're not
Sorry.
closing.
Need to review the regular agenda. Thank you for your help.
It's
Anybody have any questions for the regular agenda? No? Okay. Okay, so I need a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, I need a motion to adopt a resolution to go into executive session for the following items. Contract negotiations, Long Branch Partners, SAM TD, redevelopment update, personnel matters, police department.
second.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Billings? Yes. Mr. Pallone?
Yes.
Mr. Siriani?
Yes.
Dr. Selly?
Yes?
Mrs. Bastelli?
Yes.